United States of Europe. Yes, this is the Greg Shapiro United States of Europe show. It's an American view to make the EU a little bit less boring. Basically, it's just a few news jokes and then a bunch of talking. It ain't the Daily Show, but hey, we've got no budget. And now, welcome to the show. And it's me, your incredibly impressive host, Greg Shapiro. Right, I'm Greg Shapiro, the American Netherlander, giving the EU the respect they deserve by making fun of them just like everyone else. This week, we'll try to figure out what the EU is going to get up to this summer. And we have a special guest for today. But before we get to that, just going to check in with the man in the booth. Jeremy, are you there? How are we doing with the shot? Looking good? Yeah, okay. Right. If you bring up the first image, then here we go. We are ready. Excellent. Well, the ride-sharing app Uber is causing continued protests among taxi drivers all across Europe, with the side effect that commuters are in record numbers using underground transport. While EU officials debate a ban on Uber, they admit it is good for the Unter. Taxi protests have been especially fervent in France, where Uber may receive some special resistance due to its German-sounding name. The American app developers Uber have apologized to the French and will now change their name in France to humiliating Nazi domination. Apple, Starbucks, and Google were named in an EU inquiry into unfair business practices involving offshore tax strategies. Many multinationals have established their headquarters in countries such as Ireland, the Netherlands as well, to take advantage of unsustainably low tax rates. A spokesman for the multinational Apple said, hey, if we really wanted to avoid paying any taxes, we'd have moved to Greece. And FIFA chairman Sepp Blatter kicked off the World Cup in Brazil amid allegations of corruption and a lack of foresight. Defending himself, Blatter demonstrated his foresight by holding his glasses really, really far away from his head. The FIFA chairman then admitted that his decision to hold the 2022 games in Qatar was a mistake, but that it should have no effect on Europe or Europe's economy. Qatar's national Emirates Airlines then canceled an enormous Airbus order, citing no guarantee of passengers into the future. Sorry, European economy. And yes, in the UK, the Scottish independence movement received a no vote from Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who has described the Scottish independence debate as a bit Death Eatery. Delicious. Can't wait to try the Death Eatery. The British Rowling has been living in Scotland for 21 years, to which the Scottish nationalists responded, your continued invasion of Scotland feels a bit bravehearty. EU Competitiveness Commissioner Joaquin Almunia reaffirmed the price-fixing ruling against chip maker Intel for over 1 billion euros, the highest ever to be paid by a multinational company. The EU Competitiveness Commission offices celebrated the ruling by all of their computers mysteriously exploding at once. And in international news, President Obama continues to receive criticism for his policy in containing Iran's nuclear program. President Obama responded, I've made sure that there's chaos on one side in Afghanistan and on the other side in Iraq. So I'm pretty sure Iran will have their hands full for a while. That's what I call containment. And back to the EU. In reaction to a series of financial scandals, the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer, Mr. George Osborne, is to consider a proposal to make rate fixing an official offence. Finally, punishments could include a tick on the fingers, a slap on the wrist, or a wink and a nod. And researchers in the US have found that, get ready for this, female-named hurricanes cause more deaths than male-named hurricanes apparently due to victims underestimating the strength of females. The other possibility is that the male experts who warn us about hurricanes reserve the really nasty names for their ex-girlfriends. And EU leaders met this week in Luxembourg to discuss ocean pollution, and they met in Sweden to discuss climate change and rising sea levels. They met to come up with a plan, and here's the plan. They're out of here. Coming up next is our guest. His name is Wytze Van der Gaast, a very impressive media producer. And if you'd like to watch that, then please join us after this short break.
Salto 1. Join us every Monday at 6 p.m. where we're going to talk to the city's best comedians, musicians, bloggers, restaurateurs, about all the great stuff that makes Amsterdam awesome. So join me, Nate Titer, every Monday night at 6 p.m. on Salto 1 for What's Up Amsterdam TV. What's Up Amsterdam? Anything good is right here. Ah, shit, my burgers!
And we're back. We're over here now. Hi, welcome back to the United States of Europe. And I'm over here now. Oh, excellent. Thank you, Jeremy, for pointing me. I'm just going to talk to you from now on.
Yes.
And this is our guest, Wytze Van der Gaast. And you may know him from our previous collaboration, Behind Dutch Headlines. Also, media producer. And you spent some time on the show Utopia as
Yes,
well.
I wanted to upgrade one more level, Holland, Europe, and then Utopia. So I spent 5 days on the inside. Very interesting experience.
Right.
But let's say for what I wanted to bring, the time wasn't right yet.
Right, yeah. And I mean, it's fair to call it a reality show.
It is Big Brother. It's turning out to become Big Brother 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
So the ideal of setting interesting examples of small societies with new rules hasn't really materialized yet.
Yeah.
But for the people who enjoy it, there's enough entertainment to go around.
Well, I mean, I talked with you before you went onto into the woods, onto the program, and you had an agenda, and the agenda was on the wall, and fair enough.
To quote Walt Whitman, I went into the woods.
Yeah, exactly. And and you came out.
Yeah, well, let's name it. I mean, I had to face a beautiful
woods.
Playboy model, and my let's say my thoughts and my principles didn't
appeal as much as the
them.
big breasts. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, no, then we learned something. But no, I mean, it's interesting how this is a whole show basically trying to make policy a bit sexy, sort of like, so that it could, maybe the EU might someday be ready for SPSS. I don't know if that's going to happen, RTL, SPS, but that's what we're trying today.
Yes.
So, but you're a media producer.
Yes.
And somewhere between Brussels and Amsterdam, Rotterdam.
A tale of two cities, 1 foot in each city.
Yeah. But as someone who is living in Brussels, actually, I mean, you just said that your apartment in Brussels might be rented.
Yes, I'm switching apartments. So the one I was vacating, I had a new new German member of parliament visiting.
Yes.
A lady, Miss Beatrix.
Okay.
So I thought that was already an interesting combination.
You're sure she's Deutsche, not Dutch?
She is Deutsche. Beatrix von something.
Okay.
And she was from an anti-federalist party. So I thought that was an interesting combination. So,
Okay. So, wait a minute. You let her into your apartment even just till you would consider renting to an anti-federalist?
Well, I mean, if we can switch on the serious, I think what happened with the past election was good. The anti-Europe discussion is now taking place in Brussels.
Yeah.
Not on the fringe, not the easy, throwing remarks at Brussels.
Right.
Now they have to be engaged in the discussion in Brussels.
Okay.
Farage, Mr. Le Pen, even Wilders. I think obviously it's a bit of a publicity stunt that he wants to take his seat up in Brussels.
Right.
But it's a fair discussion to have. So I think it's good that the discussion about Europe, even with the most vocal anti-Europeans, now takes place in Brussels.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I can't help but notice that in this series of summits that has happened over the past week or so, you've got basically Merkel, Mutti Merkel, who's been meeting with Cameron, for example, and the Dutch Prime Minister Rutte as well. And
one would expect them to maybe take on the anti-federalist, argument as well. But
first of all, I thought it was an odd combination in the boat.
And the Swedish Prime Minister was the bald one.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah,
and maybe obviously they're discussing Juncker and the nomination for the next chairman of the Commission.
Yeah.
My opinion on that is I think the pros outweigh the cons.
Okay.
As to Juncker probably becoming chairman. Because,
well, let me back it up a step. I mean, we've got.
Let's talk.
We've got Barroso, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, as the current EU commissioner, and someone's going to have to replace him. Yeah. We had the elections, and every coalition had their candidate for the first time. That was the new. This time it's different.
The Spitzenkandidat.
Yes, and so based on the very rough voting results that we did at the end of May, Jean-Claude Juncker from Luxembourg looks like. From the Christian right?
The problem is, you have very large alliances within the European Parliament, and the Christian Democrats. Juncker is the candidate with the largest coalition behind him in the Parliament.
Right.
So he's the leading candidate.
Right. They got the most votes.
Yes.
So one would say if he doesn't win, then there's something wrong with the system.
Well, the issue is, and even Guy Verhofstadt from the smaller Liberal Alliance strongly promoted that. Is that there has to be due process.
Yeah.
So for the first time in this election, there were candidates beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's very important, he says, and I agree with that process makes full circle.
Okay.
And whether or not you think Juncker is the best candidate or not, if he will be chosen, the sequence of having transparent candidates, having people, having a choice to vote for, and that being confirmed afterwards will take place, which on its own, I think will set the platform for maybe even more interesting elections in 5 years.
It's a term of 5 years, and so no matter what, whoever's picked this time around, they'll be up for re-election 5 years from now, and maybe people might actually show up to vote.
Well, I mean, the biggest criticism always has been it's not transparent enough. What does the EU Parliament do? Well, with this, there will be more transparency. Plus the fact, I have to say,
go ahead.
The European leaders, heads of state, united in the European Council, they get to nominate. Then the Parliament can either block or. But I don't think that if they wouldn't nominate Juncker, they would come up with a more interesting candidate.
I mean,
because it's always, an ego thing. So then they would probably come up with a consensus candidate, which is not that interesting anyway.
Right. Yeah. Well. Anyway. Okay. Pros and cons of Jean-Claude Juncker, assuming he's going to be the new leader.
Well, cons are very clear that he's not the most interesting, the most charismatic, the most. He's more of an ambtenaar. How is that? He's more of a
civil servant, perhaps a bean counter. And he's from Luxembourg. Yes. He's best known from his most recent post, I guess, was head of the Euro group of finance ministers.
Yeah.
So
he will not be that inspiring figure in these turbulent times ahead.
Which is kind of what a lot of Europeans want, I think.
Yes. However, if I would be in the European Council, I would like to nominate. Imagine the thought.
Yeah.
Nicolas Sarkozy. Imagine Nicolas Sarkozy.
Looking for work. Yeah.
He's looking for work.
Right.
He and Merkel are very close, and he would give a lot of energy to the position. Just imagine. It's not going to happen, but
wow. Okay. So but is there any chance of that happening? No. Okay. Just checking. This is Fantasy League.
Yes, imagine
that
that would be a president of the Commission with energy, with personality, with drive.
Yeah.
I hope in time Europe will get that kind of leadership on the top.
Yeah.
Until now, it has been the more boring.
Well, it keeps getting blocked by other national leaders as well. So anyway, we'll get more predictions. Right. We'll get more predictions from Wytze Van der Gaast, and I would like to take a short break. Are we okay to do that? Great. We'll be right back. We are back with Wytze Van der Gaast, who is a resident of Brussels. And we were just talking about Juncker, who's going to be the change at the top. But you're also a law student.
Yes.
You've been studying law. And I wanted to ask, we talked about the legitimacy of the EU election results. it's good to see that you would easily throw out the legitimacy and go for Nicolas Sarkozy. But more than that, let's go to a bit of like competitiveness. That's been an issue. And if you have any predictions about, well, just looking at the recent past, like I mentioned the Intel decision by the competitiveness commissioner, who will be replaced in October.
Yes.
But any insights? Like, there have been decisions against Microsoft. They're cracking down on these offshore tax havens of the multinationals. Is Europe going to be, better for business under Juncker, or are they going to crack down?
Well, I'm very happy with these kind of let's call them bold or at least strong European principle-oriented cases.
Yeah.
We draw the lines following European ethics, and I think it's very healthy to have that counterbalance against American global capitalism. I mean, obviously, for some respect, kudos to you. America has a lot of very successful global companies.
Yes.
And we have to ask ourselves why Facebook, why Google, and all the others are all coming
Apple
from Silicon
Amazon.
Valley and not from Europe.
Yeah.
However, having said that, especially given the social media companies and the impact and the control they have over data, over our day-to-day lives, it is just very important that we do not that we defend our principles on privacy, on fairness, and even our philosophy on social welfare states. So a strong European position on that, I think, is very healthy.
Fair enough.
So
now, from the American perspective, I have to point out that there are some other big multinationals and the banks like Credit Suisse.
Yes.
Had some trouble with the U.S. government. I believe they are technically the first major bank to actually receive a guilty verdict for financial wrongdoing leading up to the financial crisis in 2008. BNP, from France, they, I believe, sent a memo recently to the U.S. Saying, "Oh, we're sorry for doing business with Iran or breaking all these sanctions, but." Oops, won't happen again, and assuming that would be good enough. So there's some rule of law issue on both sides of the pond.
I mean, you're mentioning the financial sector. Obviously, in a financial sector, it's a whole different ballgame altogether. There needs to be massive reorganization.
Well, we have the TTIP as well.
Sorry?
The transatlantic trade and investment partnership, and we've been talking about that.
But at so many levels, there needs to be a readjustments to the financial sector, So that both includes America and Europe.
And from your humble perspective, I mean, is Europe going to be the home for the new startups, and is the economy getting ready to take off? We're going to benefit from this new
At the end of the day, the essence of that is creativity, and no continent in the world has the diversity in language, in cultures, in background, and in history as Europe has.
Wytze Van der Gaast, that's all the time we've got. I told you it would go quickly.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. And we'll check in again. But anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks to So Damn Local. And it's me, Greg Shapiro, saying, doei.
Doei.